Ferguson and other communities of color has fostered an atmosphere of suspicion that threatens to compromise our justice system. However, law enforcement groups who oppose the bill argue it undermines prosecutors. The measure, set to go into effect next year, is one of two laws on police accountability signed by Governor Jerry Brown this week. The second, known as the Right to Record Act, affirms the public's right to take audio or video recordings of police officers. I'm joined now by prominent civil rights attorney John Burris, who worked on a number of high-profile cases, including the Rodney King case and the death of Oscar Grant, who was shot and killed by a BART police officer in Oakland. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
Good morning.
So obviously it's interesting, this case that we just highlighted there. In that case, it was a white person who was shot and killed, unarmed, a white officer there. But nevertheless, the Justice Department is joining in this investigation, looking into civil rights investigation, as well as the FBI involvement. We know in most recent cases, they've involved unarmed African-American, mostly men here. And now California is taking what's been called a bold step, but there is still a fight regarding this decision. How do you believe this move could help, from your perspective as an attorney, and for those who feel that they are not being treated justly in these grand jury situations?
Well, the grand jury, as you know, is a very secret document. The prosecution puts on its evidence. They don't normally have any cross-examination. There are other defense lawyers are not present. So I've always thought that it was not a fair process in order to present the evidence in criminal cases, particularly involving the police. So I think transparency is very important. I also think if you don't have the grand jury and the DA has to make an independent judgment and present its evidence, you don't have the kind of criticism that you had in both Eric Garner and Michael Brown's cases, where you have the situation where the defense lawyers, the defendant himself, received very sweetheart type of examination, and all the evidence was not presented. It was more like it was a case that the defense case was being presented. So in my experience, when the DA has to present this in a preliminary hearing where everyone can see it, everyone gets a better sense of what that case is like. We had that in the Oscar Grant criminal case. Everyone got to see it when the case was presented, and I thought it was a better appreciation for the type of evidence. I think nationally, people have a hard time giving up the grand jury because historically it's just rooted in our culture. So